Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is David from Daveden Web Dev, and on this channel I like to talk about all things WordPress, especially about accessibility and dynamic data. If you can see me and you can hear me, please do leave it in the comments so that I know that everything is good and then we can kick on from there. So I'll give it a bit of a minute so that people can start tuning in and we can start from there. So while we're waiting, today's video is going to be about just all I've learned from the WP Accessibility Day. We're just going to be going through some of the things I've seen. I'll share the slides in the comments and we can go through it yourself. Hopefully, about 3 weeks from now, they'll be releasing the full version, so you can go ahead and watch the videos. And so, hello. Let me start seeing. Okay. Hello, skating choreographer. Then, hello, George. Hello, Jonathan. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully today is going to be an exciting day. So if you have any questions about accessibility or about Elementor, about breaks or anything, please do leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to see if I can answer the questions. Yeah. So let me just... Yeah, that's it. All right. Let me go ahead and show you the documents. Let me share my screen for a bit. Okay. Yeah, so this was the schedule that they used during the whole event. Oh, okay. Let me try and increase my volume a little bit, because my volume is a bit low generally, so I apologize for that. But yeah, this is the documents that they posted recently. You can go ahead and check the schedule. It goes through all of them. There were lots of important and interesting scripts that were talked about. So you can go through each of them. They have their slides in there. So let's say for this Agile Accessibility, if you go into the slides, you see what it's all about, the whole breakdown, and you'll also get to see the slides. So you can go and either you want to download some of the slides or you want to look at them online, you can go ahead and look at them. And some of the topics that were there that I actually enjoyed a lot, I enjoyed this one by Alice, talking about practical text accessibility tips for content creators. Then there were the one for the challenges that you can face with single page applications. These are those applications that I know a lot of people like to do this kind of single page applications with, like, I think React or so many of these JS that nothing is being changed. The page is not being changed. All that's happening is that things are just being reloaded on the same page. So she was going through some of the problems that you face with those kind of single page applications. Like, I think with BricsForge, we have these PJAX, whereby the second page is not, there's this hot reload of your pages. So the pages are not actually refreshed. It just, when you click on a link, so let's say you click on this link, rather than the page reloading, it will just kind of like use some Ajax or PJAX in this case to retrieve the contents of the other pages. Those things are nice and cool, but we have to also consider how accessible are they? Are they very accessible, or are they like stuck? Because sometimes the focus does not go with the whole thing. And I will show you one thing now. I don't know if you can see my screen, but I'll show you one problem with that I hate with, like, JavaScript libraries in general, like not JavaScript libraries, but let's say like GSAP and all of these funky animations that people use on their websites. I'm sorry for using his website. I already spoke to him a long time ago, and like all of us content creators, our websites are not the best, but our client projects are usually the best. But when it comes to our own personal websites, we may know that there are some problems with it, but to fix it, we may not ever get to fixing it. So let me go ahead and show you the problem that I found, which I explained to him as well. And that's this. One of the rules with accessibility is trying to make things like what's it like called the word? Understandable and familiar. So the key thing that we always talk about is in your focus, when you're moving focus between like things that you can click, make sure that every link goes in order. You don't like skip a link. But watch what happens now as we go through. You can see the focus outline here on the logo. But if I start pressing the tab key, yeah, you're not alone. Even I have the same problem. My website, it just took me a while to actually update some things. I still have some issues that I'm trying to fix, but the time to go back to my website to fix it, it's taking me a while. But hopefully we'll get there soon. But yeah, so now watch what happens when so right now, I'm pressing the tab key to move focus between links that you can click, or like links, or buttons, form elements. You use the tab key to move through those links if you are going to be working with only a keyboard. So now watch what happens. I press the tab key the first time. I move from the logo into the navigation, and I'm on the first link, which is all good. So it is following order. I press the tab key again. I get to components, tab. I get to the drop-down menu. If I want to open the drop-down menu, I can press the space bar, or I press the enter key. Any of them will open the button. So that means he's using a button tag, which I believe so. Then press the tab key again. All going good. But now watch what happens when I press the tab key. If you were looking at it visually, you would expect that we go from toolbox to work with me. But if I press the tab key now, it goes from toolbox to login. It skipped the work with me. Then when I press the tab key again, it now goes back to work with me. So that can be visually disorienting for some people, especially people who, if you are like a mouse user or you don't have any like disability challenges, you easily be able to readapt yourself and know, okay, where you are. But if somebody is already struggling, maybe he's using like one of those touch stick or something that every click has to be done with importance, you now make him or her or them to go through the link in the wrong order. It can get them disoriented. Then the second thing, which this one is not, he also mentioned it one day, it has to do with GSAP in general. So watch what happens. Let me go with the mouse and show you first. So with the mouse, if I'm scrolling down, you see, we start from the beginning, okay? We get, this is a link called Trust Developers, okay? Oh, let me go back to the homepage. Am I on the homepage? Okay, no, I was not on the homepage, that's why. So yeah, we are on this link. This is the homepage. So we have, this is the first link here, all components. Then we get to this lovely link here about link in bio template. Get to the other links. Then we get to YouTube and this. But now watch what happens. This is with mouse. We can get through all of these links successfully. But if we are going to be using a keyboard, watch what happens. So I'm going with the tab key. Let me see. So tab, 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 tab. Then I press the tab key down. You can see there was a link before this link, but it went straight to the link in bio first, and it skipped the all components link. Actually, in the DOM order, it is there. I can prove it by pressing the shift and the tab key. If I press shift tab, I actually get to the components link. But because of how everything is opened using GSAP and some kind of display none and all of those things, so it is not actually getting to the right link at the right time. So it gets to the wrong link. And the second problem, just see, let me use a regular website just to show you the steps. So on a regular website, you see, if I press the tab key, I'm going through all of my links. So I get to somewhere outside of the pages. If I press the Shift tab, you see the link that I'm actually on is always visible on the screen. See, when I'm pressing tab key, once I get to another link, it goes to the visible part of the screen. But because of GSAP and all of their problems, if I press the Shift tab now, I'm on all components. If I press the Shift tab, I'm supposed to go back to my main menu. Shift tab, I'm on my main menu, but the focus does not follow with the keyboard, what is going with the link. So that's why I just stay away from GSAP in general. I don't like all of those libraries because they cause so many problems for keyboard users. If I press Shift tab, Shift tab, Shift tab, I'm still going with links, but I'm not seeing them until I get to the top of the page. Then it finally takes me to the skip to footer. But if I go past all of these and I press Shift tab. So sometimes some things work, sometimes they don't work. It's like, it's a bit confusing. So that's why I always try to leave things the way they are and not all this, like, that's why personally, I don't even like using this sticky nav that uses JavaScript, because sometimes the JavaScript will not work as you expect on certain viewport points. So you would think all is good, but it only works in certain conditions. So if those conditions are not met in the right way, it will not work out the way you think it should work out. So that's why I just totally avoid using GSAP libraries. But yeah, moving on from that, before we go back and start looking at some of the talks, we'll also look at another one, and that is this website. So let me zoom out to a standard view. One of the things about accessibility, there are 4 main topics or 4 main principles. The first is that it should be perceivable. So I should be able to see the link or see whatever is on the page. Then it should be operable. Then you talk about understandable. Then finally, we talk about it should be robust. So taking a look at this now, the first point is, if you were looking at this link, some people will not be able to see some of these links at the top. These about us, and let me try and see what is there. Reviews, TV series, and all of that. If you are not like you have perfect vision, you may not know that those links exist on the page. Let me try and, okay, I can't even zoom in. But if I zoom in, it goes back to a standard. Okay, yeah, I think I can get to this. We can use some tools. Let me give a link in the description. I think you can use something like the TPGI, Color Contrast Analyzer. This is an extension. You can install it on Windows or on Mac. Let me leave it in the comments. So you can use this color contrast. Let me now try and open it up. Then contrast. Okay. So this will help you to quickly analyze whether the foreground and the background are accessible. So I'll click on foreground color. I'll use the color picker, and I think it's, oh, my system has, okay, it has some errors. It doesn't work well. Let me use something else to get the colors. So I'll use one of these. Okay. So the color is white. Let me paste that. Then I'll get the other color. My system might be having some issues, so sometimes some things don't work. Let me get the color from here. Copy. And then paste that color. And you see, immediately, it fills every kind of color contrast. So you see, fill regular text, fill for large text, because it is now white on yellow. So that's one of these problems with like having text on an image, is that you can never predict where the text will fall. You might think the text will fall on the green area, but it is once you put text on image, there's always at different viewports, the text will fall on different parts of the image, and it can cause some problems for some people. So on this area, we can clearly see that the text and the image, there is enough color contrast, but at the homepage section or the hero section, this is not accessible. There's a problem there. And the other thing that he and I we've been talking about is, let me go ahead and inspect the page and show you one issue that he and I we spoke about a long time ago, and that's the fact that he says it is, which is true, it is not like an accessibility failure, but in this case, he's using a button to trigger the nav for mobile view, but that button is outside of the nav. So what this creates now, we'll get to see it visually. Let me first of all use one of these extensions. So let me first zoom in to this point, okay? Then I'll use something like, let's say, Accessibility Insights. Yeah, maybe this one. And I'll check for the landmark regions. And watch. So it shows that there is a landmark region here, and there's a main, there's a banner. Everything, you would think that, so everything should be fine. But if I use a screen reader, let me see. I don't know, you please do let me know in the comments if you can hear the screen reader. Let me go ahead and turn it on now. I'll be using NVDA for this test because I'm working on Windows.
Taskbar.
Did it work? I don't know.
Shop. Bricks tutorials. Clickable skip to footer link.
Can you all hear the NVDA?
Banner landmark clickable to get missing image descriptions. Open the context menu. Unlabeled graphic link.
Because I'm not sure if it's working, so I'll need somebody to verify. Yeah, if it's working. Okay. Thank you.
Shop.
All right. So
shop.
Now
Bricks tutorials.
Let me start
group testing.
trying to move using
David.
the
shop.
landmark regions.
Bricks
so
to get missing image description. Toggle mobile. To get missing image descriptions, open the context menu.
So that means, first of all, he didn't put any label on his logo, so it's hard to get the description of that logo. Then, let me start with although this is not a normal way people navigate these days, and that is by using landmark regions. So let me press Control Home to get to the top of the page.
S.
Okay, then I'll start pressing Tab key.
Skip to footer link.
So now we are sure we're at the top of the page. Then I'll now try to use landmark regions to navigate. So I'll press the D key.
Banner landmark clickable to get missing image descriptions. Open the context menu.
So it tells me I'm on the banner. Link. Now let me say I want to get to the navigation landmark. I'll press the D key again. So I'll press D.
Main landmark or shop heading level 1.
But I went straight to the main landmark instead of the navigation landmark because the button is not inside of the navigation and he has hidden the items in the navigation. So to a screen reader, the navigation is blank, so there's no need to get to the navigation. So it will just tell you there is no navigation landmark, even though there is a navigation landmark. Although thankfully, I think most screen reader users don't. I believe they say the most common way screen reader users navigate a page is using headings. So that will save you from this problem. But if I, as a screen reader user, decide to use landmark regions to try to quickly navigate through your page, I would think that there is no navigation. In fact, when I press the D key again,
navigation landmark home link,
it takes me to a navigation, but that's not the actual navigation. It's taking me to the breadcrumbs. And first, the breadcrumbs is also supposed to have a name to help us to differentiate the breadcrumb navigation from the main navigation. There is no name here, but like I said, these are all our own personal website. So usually our personal websites, we don't do them well. So it's not like I'm attacking anybody. I'm just saying these are some of the things that we tend to miss because all of us have different skill levels. We have different disabilities. So we'll all like approach things in different ways, which takes us to, let me see if I can get one of the talks where they say that basically what they say is that you should ideally get, let me see if I can find it. Okay, I think it's under Agile Accessibility. And she said, let me open the slides. Got it, thank you. And this is where she gave an explanation that the methods of accessibility requirements gathering, because no man is an island, you will see some mistakes or some things you think are mistakes. Somebody else will see something totally different. So you should always try to incorporate all of these into your web design journey, especially if you are like an agency. So try to have all of this kind of methodology into your web, especially like for people who say that they're building websites at maybe tens of thousands of pounds. You should ideally be having these kind of things into your design process. Have user reviews, so get your everyday users to try to test the website, get focus groups, tell people to fill out surveys and questionnaires, all of these kind of things. These things will now give you the idea about accessibility to see some things that you will miss as a designer or a developer. Those everyday users, they'll be able to like find those things out. Because like I said, I was let me switch to my face. So I was with my friend because I work with Barnett Carer Center. It is an organization that cares for like the elderly and people living with disabilities. And one thing that I've gotten to learn is that everybody is different, because I work with people who have like paraplexia, they have like different kind of conditions. Some are dyslexic, some they have like what's it called now? They have some like mental health issues and so many of these things. So the more you work with so many of people from different backgrounds and different kind of areas, you start to realize that some things you take for granted and you think it doesn't matter. Like I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was saying how somebody told me that accessibility doesn't matter, that we can always get somebody else to use the website for us. And I was having this feeling that the whole idea is that we're trying to promote independence, trying to make people feel like they matter in the whole ecosystem. So saying that accessibility doesn't matter, or like trying to improve accessibility doesn't matter, is very disheartening, because I personally I have visual impairments, but other things I think they work fine. Somebody else, like some of my friends, they are paraplegic. Some of my friends, they have dyslexia. So so many of these things, you can only know what you know. You cannot know everything. So that's why we need to like always have other people in our corner, like have friends that you can just rely on. And one thing that I will like beg all of us as web developers is try to be open-minded and listen to people, because it's one thing for you to have friends that tell you things, but then if you keep ignoring them, then what's the point of having those friends? Because there was a time I was speaking to somebody and I was telling him that this is how the website should look like, or don't use this sort of thing in your website, and he just ignored what I said, and he was teaching people things that after I just finished, like we literally just finished having a discussion where I told him I don't believe this thing is good. rather than taking what I said and going to check up on it, he just didn't bother. He went ahead to come up with a video and was teaching people how to use that thing. Then it just got me feeling like, okay, that means you are listening to me but not listening to me at the same time. You're just, it's like we are speaking two different languages, and that made me feel like I don't see the point of like telling him anything anymore. I don't know if you have all had that kind of experience where you're trying to tell somebody something based on your own experience or based on your like what you are finding difficult, and the person is just doing what he feels like doing. I don't know. Uh, we should have that open mind and open heart to feel what other people are feeling and like take other people's suggestions on board. That can go a very long way for everybody. Like, and the whole web design space will become a better place. Because like I will say some things, I will think that I know them. Like a few weeks later, somebody would now point out to me that, oh, David, there is an error with your CSS or there's an error with your JavaScript that is not working well. And that would now make me to get better. Same thing with even your biggest content creators like Kevin Powell, Kevin Geary, and all of them. They also make mistakes, and I believe that they are willing to sit down with people to, if you can sit down with them and tell them what you think is wrong and have that dialogue, they always listen. So same thing with us as web designers. I know we don't have time. We're always busy with so many things, but we should all try our best to, listen to community feedback, ask questions when you're not very familiar with things. Don't always try to think, I want to do it my own way. I must do it the way I like to do it. The way you like to do it might be nice, but it may not work for everybody. It's only working for maybe a select few people, and because that select few people is working for them, you think it's working for everybody, but that's not the reality. Try to expand your horizon and ask questions on a broader scale. So, yeah, exactly. We should always try to be open-minded, and that will go a long way. Yeah. Oh, yay! I see one of our good friends here. Hi, Anne. Thanks for joining in. That's one of our accessibility experts. She knows way better than me in terms of accessibility, and she has worked with thousands of people, while I'm still new to the business of accessibility and the whole general concept of accessibility. So yeah, exactly. What a skating choreographer is saying, that not everybody can take feedbacks, which is the sad reality, that everybody's always feeling that I know everything. You can't tell me what to do. I am, because in my culture, I come from Nigeria, and back in the day, our parents have this concept that they know more than their children. So when a child tries to correct his parents to say you are being disrespectful or whatever, you're supposed to always listen to your parents. But everybody makes mistakes. We always have to listen to each other, and that's how we all grow. Because by that communication, you tell me what you know, I tell you what I know. Then all of us together we become a better community. Yeah. So exactly, Jonathan. That's a good point. We should all have that mindset that no man is an island. We are all learning from each other. We keep growing together. So we should not just take things to heart. If somebody says what you did is not good, easy, just scrap. I know it's hard when you've done something for a long time. Let's say you spent 6 hours working on a project, only to ask for feedback, and your friends are telling you that everything is wrong. That's a funny story. I remember when I was in I think was it nursery school or primary school, one of those times, and that was the first time I was learning about Roman numerals. So I had not learned a lot, and my teachers told me we should write from 1 to 100 in Roman numerals. So I started I, V, V, and so on. I think I got to X. And then, okay, no, I got to 50. I know 50 is L, but I kept going as X, 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 and I kept going X, 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 and then my mom came and she saw the whole paper, and I was supposed to submit it that morning or that evening. And she just started laughing because, but I felt so bad. Like, how am I going to start from scratch? But in the end, I started again and I learned from my mistake. And that is the same idea we should all have, that no matter how hard it is that we feel we can't, like, I've gotten too far into the system. I don't think I can change. The reality is you can actually change even with your painting. Let's say you have been painting for about an hour and you make a mistake. You see painters, sometimes they do like 5 different drafts. They scrap the entire draft and start again from scratch. You shouldn't be afraid to start from scratch. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Jonathan is talking about the using arrows, because even like I'm trying my best to learn how to improve my videos as well. Because when I first started with my videos, the screen used to always be zoomed out, but you looking at it from a large screen, it's easy for you to see because you're looking at it from like a 32-inch or something. Someone looking at it from a phone, he's not easily following the same eye vision like you. So it's good to use some kind of arrows and things like that to show up where are you on the page and all of that. So yeah, that's a good idea. Oh yeah, that's true. Sometimes what's Web Squadron? Hey, hi Web Squadron, thanks for joining in. This is actually true because sometimes the way we explain things to people as well may be an issue. If we are not explaining it in the right way, it can cause some kind of problems, and you think this person is not listening to me, but the reality is that you're not explaining it the right way to the person. So yeah, that is a good point, which is something I'm struggling with because like my brother told me that sometimes my brain runs at a very hyper speed. So what I think everybody should know, not everybody actually knows that thing, but in my mind I feel like you know it. So I start to skip. Even when I was writing exams, I remember I used to write exams, I would just be writing so many things so fast that I would skip a lot of steps, forgetting that those steps that I skipped them until I give it to somebody to like review, and then I realized that I made so many mistakes. So yeah, that's good point. So but yeah, that's it. So let me see if I can find some of the other discussions that were there that I liked in the documentation. So let's see. Let me try and switch back. Yeah, I like this talk by Alice Oru, where you were talking about practical text accessibility tips for content creators. So let's see. Let me try and open the slides. Then I'll just the whole 4 principles of accessibility in general. Those are the 4 principles. We have perceivable, operable, understandable, and robust. You just have that at the back of your mind when you are building anything. Those 4 principles should always be ringing through whenever you're doing anything in your whole entire web design journey. Yeah, that okay. Then so basically, what is a clear and accessible writing? And that is basically about writing in a way that is easy to understand. That is just what it means. It is easy to understand and it is easily accessible by everybody. So I was speaking to one person the other day, and he said that not everybody has a disability. So, and I think he was talking about disabilities and all of that. And one thing that he forgets to understand is that not all disabilities are like physical. So we always think about, when we think about disabilities, we're always thinking things like, so color blindness, someone who is totally or partially blind, or mostly tends to do with visual or deafness. But those are not the only kinds of disabilities. So we have like so many different types of disabilities. We have the permanent ones. We have even temporary disabilities. So what are temporary disabilities? They're just disabilities that happen for a short period of time and then they dissipate. What's one example? Let's say you were riding your bike and you had an accident. You broke your arm. At that point, you're not actually paraplegic or like, but at that point in time, you cannot use your arms as well as you should. So you may have to rely on something else, maybe voice assistant or something. So, but that only lasts for about maybe 4 months or 3 months or 6 months, depending on the severity of your accident. So some things are not like permanent, that they are, you were born with it. You could have gotten it over time. You could get it for a short period of time. So maybe, for example, let's say we're talking about situational now. So situational disabilities, if you are in a club where music is blasting loud and someone is trying to like explain something to you, like maybe your friend is trying to tell you a story, and you people are in the middle of the club, where on the dance floor where everybody is dancing, you will not be able to understand anything the person is saying, especially if the person starts trying to use big words, start trying to show you scientific terms and things like that. But if the person is speaking in like simple terms, do you want water? Do you want a glass of ice? Do you want this? Those simple words, you can still pick it even in a loud audience. But if you are trying to start giving me a breakdown of how the world was formed and all of that in a noisy environment, I will not be able to understand what you're saying. So sometimes the situation or the environment you are in, it also matters. So you should always take into account so many different things like that. So let's see. Oh, then let me see if I can find the. Yeah. So in terms of the content itself, so what she's talking about here is not just about the entire website, not about your focusable elements and all of that. She's focusing here on the content. So she's saying that who needs to have accessible content? And it's everybody basically, but more importantly, people with visual impairments, cognitive disabilities, dyslexia, and specific neurodevelopment conditions. So now, the things I got from here, let me see if I can find. Yeah. So one of the things that she pointed out here, which I was interested in, was talking about alt text for images. And that's one of those kind of points that is not very straightforward. Everybody has his own opinions about like about alt text. Some people will say, oh, it doesn't matter, that it is not part of the things on the website, so you should ignore it. For example, let me see if I can open one of the websites I created. So something like this. Say this image. Some people will say, okay, this image doesn't really matter. I don't need to tell you what this image is all about. Other people will tell you that because you are seeing it visually, you can determine whether you don't care about the image or not. But somebody who is visually impaired, you are basically removing that what's it called? That choice from the person. And the whole goal of accessibility is about giving people a choice. If I want to see the image or not, it should be my choice. If I want to zoom into my text or not, it should be my choice. If I want my scroll speed to be fast or slow, it should be my choice. You shouldn't like constrain me to what you want. Sometimes you can, but most times give the users choice. That is one of the key like from my own perspective, one of the key principles of accessibility is choice. A user should have choice. If I want to watch your video on my TV or my smartphone, I should be able to do it on either one. I should not be forced to only watch on my television because, for example, my television is so far away from where I sit, so I tend not to watch movies on my television, only football. Most times when I'm watching movies, I have my 10-inch iPad or like my tablet. That's what I use, or I watch it on my phone. As bad as it may sound, I tend to prefer watching movies on my iPad or my phone rather than on a TV screen because the TV is so far away from my eyes that I can barely pick out information. Even the what's it called, the captions and all of that, that sometimes I cannot read the captions, and so it is, I tend not to like follow movies when they're on screen. So sometimes some things you that seem so easy to you may be difficult to some other people and they prefer something else. That's why you should always give them a choice. Like, it's as simple as that. So yeah, that's it about the image. So let's go back and see what she was saying about the image, if I can find it again. Yeah, that's it. So the alt text is like the backup image number one for a is the backup text for an image. You know, when, I don't know if you remember those days when we used to have I used to look at websites on our phones, and we're using that, I think it was 2G or 2.5G network or something like that. And you would have to, I remember I was using Opera Mini or something, and I used to tend to disable images. So what happens is I would disable the images, load the web page, then based on the alt text, that will now determine, okay, do I actually want to load this image or not? Then I'll click on that image and open it up. But if the alt text does not sound reasonable to me, then I would disable that. That I wouldn't load that image. That was a very fun time back in the day when we were using 2G, 2.5G, and all of those kind of network. I don't know if you remember those networks. Nowadays we have 5G, and I think some universities have 6G right now, and so the speed is so fast, so we don't have those problems anymore. But some people in some developing countries, they still have those problems where they are struggling with the image. So sometimes they disable or they prevent some things from loading so that they can save up on their data, which is also part of accessibility. You should be able to make your website that the user can still understand all of the content of your website, even in, I think they call it reader mode in Safari, whereby they disable all images and all text, all images and all interactive elements, where they just leave only text. That should still be understandable enough for you. So yeah, and then I think she showed two, if I can find it, yeah. So you see one way to describe this selfie. She said, a selfie of Alice, a woman with bob brown hair and a pair of large rimmed tinted glasses. She wears a flowered shirt. The rosy light of a sunset among the paths of Retiro Park in Madrid illuminates her smiling face. If I closed this image and you read this text, wouldn't you still get a sense of what the image she is talking about is? You will get a very good sense of what the image is, I believe. Then look at what some other people or some other web content creators will describe this image as, and see how best you would understand this image. So now, maybe a selfie of one person, military uniform and pack. If I gave you this description of the image, and let's say you were totally blind, would you have any understanding of what that image is? Like, would that? Oh, sorry, I was showing my screen. So let's do it again. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, I believe so, and we'll work together in the future. I really hope so. So let's go back. I didn't realize I was showing my screen all through or my face. So here we go. So let me get this off. So looking at this image, and it says that let me get my face out of the way. So this image says, how would you describe this image? This is how she describes it because it is her own image. She says, selfie of Alice, a woman with bob brown hair and a pair of large rimmed tinted glasses. She wears a flowered shirt. The rosy light of a sunset among the paths of Retiro Park in Madrid illuminates her smiling face. When you get this kind of alt text, wouldn't you feel like the person who wrote that alt text had you in mind? Like he or she, like they were thinking about you when they wrote that alt text, or like they were thinking about giving you the emotional feeling of the image. Compare it to what she says Instagram puts as the alt text of the image now. It just says selfie of one person, military uniform, and park. If you hear that kind of alt text, you will just be like, what's the point of this alt text? Like, what does this give me any information? It has no information, basically. It's just telling me one person. What is that one person? Is it even the selfie of somebody who identifies as a male or a female? Is it the what is military uniform? Where this is not even a military uniform. So so many things just like the information is lost in this image just because you're trying to pull in keywords, because that's what a lot of people try to do. They're trying to get keywords into their image, so they start to stuff it up with so many content that doesn't even make sense to the image, just because they're trying to get SEO ranking to be 100% or something like that. Try to take things more from an emotional perspective rather than a perspective of I'm just wanting to get good SEO scores. Because if you take it from an emotional perspective, when people finally get into your website, they will stay longer than when you're just trying to stuff them with keywords to try to get them in. Once they get in, you see that the bounce rate is still very high because, yes, Google has put them into your website, but how long will they actually stay on your website if the website is not like giving them the information that they need? That's something you should think about. Yeah. So also with like videos, some people say, oh yeah, but I can hear clearly. But imagine watching a foreign movie, let's say a movie of let's say you are a British person and you're watching a Korean movie, or because I know that's what my cousins love to watch, Korean movies, and there was no caption, no video caption in the movie. How would you understand the movie? You start to hear so many words and you're just looking at the screen. You don't have any idea what the person is talking about. So think about accessibility as not just for people who have permanent disabilities, but for everybody. Improving your website's accessibility is improving the accessibility for everybody in general. So, like I said, if the video does not have a caption, and I'm watching the video, I'm just looking at the screen, I'll be lost. But if you have your Turkish movies or any kind of movie, and they give you all the caption in a language, usually, as long as it is an actual file, not the one that you embed directly on the screen, those are actual files, the person can still take it to some auto-translator devices, and those things will auto-translate that text into their own language, even though it will not be very accurate, but at least they will get some information from that video, and they will still enjoy the video to an extent. The best case scenario is to professionally caption your videos, like you see with Netflix. If people watch Netflix, you see they have multiple languages so that anybody from any place can still enjoy that video. I wouldn't. I just saw a comment from Anne. I wouldn't say anything about my quality. I'm still improving my quality for now. The videos, because I'm still using a webcam, and the microphone, I bought the cheaper version of Shure. I didn't buy the most expensive version. So it's not as good as some other people's quality, but at least we all keep improving together. So yeah, that's it from this one. That's one of the things I enjoyed in this page. You can go through all of them. The slides are there, and hopefully in about 3 to 4 weeks from the time this video is recorded, everything will be on their website. Yeah, let me even post their website link into the chat. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, my face is showing here. So WPA11Y Day, I think that's what it's called. Yes. So when the videos are released, I believe they'll be published on this channel. So let me go ahead and paste the channel in the chat so you guys can see it. So okay, so that's the channel. Please, you guys should all go ahead and subscribe. I'm actually subscribed to the channel. Don't worry about this telling you that I'm not subscribed, because I'm opening a different browser. So this browser is not subscribed to anybody, basically. This is just for my YouTube review videos. That's why I think some people may have seen when I open different people's channels, I'm not subscribed to their channel, but in reality, I'm actually subscribed to their channel. But this one doesn't have any username or anything attached to this browser, so that I don't go and show people secrets that nobody should see. So yeah, that's it. So when you come to the channel, I believe when the time comes, the video will be posted here somewhere. And hopefully, if you want to get involved, you can also go to their website. I believe somewhere. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, yeah. So you can join their mailing list. Let me copy the link. And so WP Early Day mailing list. So you can join their mailing list so that you can get notified when the actual videos are. Because right now, all you see are some of the slides that were published. The other one, yeah, let me go ahead and look at one before I try to show you on Elementor how to improve some accessibility tips on Elementor. So this one says, is your page builder actually accessible? That's one you might want to look at. She was talking about all of them. So about Elementor, Divi, she was just going through different page builders and just picking out some points from all of those page builders. So let's see if let me open a slide. And let's see, let me remove my, okay. Yeah. So the thing about page builders is that page builders have a responsibility to take up some of the burden about accessibility from the users, because the whole idea is that they are being marketed as a no-code solution. So that simply means that users should not have to be writing code to make their websites accessible. That is the simple meaning to me. That's why they call themselves page builders, that they write no-code solution. For you to market yourself as a no-code solution means that if I build my website using your platform, I shouldn't have to write any code. I should simply follow the standard and everything should work correctly for me. I shouldn't have to go and be writing code to solve some issues. That is the ideal case, but as you know, in reality, that's not true. There's always going to be mistakes, because some of these builders were built way back in 2015, some in 2012 and all of that. So they are taking so many baggages with them up to the current date. So they will always have some issues. But yeah, she went through so many different things and probably will test some of these things. So the first one is skip link. So now let me go to the website and I will open one weird blog. Let's see. all of this block, don't, oh no, this is not the one. Where did I write? Don't mind any of the things here. These are just, I've not even filled, I just wrote the demo last night, so many things are missing here. So let's say this one, and many of them were just gotten through ChatGPT, so don't bother trying to read the documents here to see if they were correct. But yeah, see the problem with skip links with Elementor. Let me first start with the homepage. So we have the skip link, which she was talking about here, skip to content link. It is there, it is visible on a standard page. If I press enter, it works. So if I press the tab key from now, it goes to my link. It skips the header block. That is the whole point of what you call skip link or skip to content link. So you're skipping all of the header and aside and everything that you have before the header or before the main area, and skipping directly to the main content area. But now watch what happens with a single page template. I tried the same thing. Let me Control L, tab. Where's my skip link? Okay, I finally found my skip link. So yeah, skip to content. If I press the enter key now, oh, it's feeling good that you've skipped the header. But when I press the tab key, I still go back to the logo. The first thing is that I actually tried to create the single page template. I actually added the ID. Let me show you all of these things. So you have your website here. As you can see, there is the skip to content link is there. It has the href equals to content. Then I put a main tag here. I actually added the class equal to ID. An ID equal to content. So that means when I click on the skip link, it should take me to the main content area and I should start from there. But unfortunately, like was found by I think Anne and Maxime, they found the problem that it was based on the anchor JS that Elementor had, which was left there because of backwards compatibility. Because right now we don't need JS to do smooth scrolling. We just use the CSS property for smooth scroll. But because they had put those JS to allow for smooth scroll ages ago, they cannot remove it because of backwards compatibility. So I think thankfully, yeah, there are so many, like what Anne is saying here, there are so many things that lead to like the list of accessibility, what do you call it, situational disability and all of that. It's not just visible. Like there are so many things that have to do with accessibility. Like so when people say we don't have anybody who is disabled in my clique or in my area, that is the biggest lie that we can ever say, because all of us, we go through so many of these things at one point or stage in our lives. There are times when you have not your kids, you have someone else's kids or your family's kids in your house or in where you are playing around and you cannot concentrate. If you start using some very heavy languages in your website, I will be so lost that I will just give up from what you're saying in your website. So yeah. So many things that happen like that people don't realize. And yeah, before I forget, I think, do I have it on this? Yeah. You all should go on to read this white paper by Anne. It's very good. So let me paste it in the chat. Oh yeah, so maybe I shouldn't put what Web Squadron is saying in the chat, so other people can read it. I don't know if I should be talking about that personally here by myself, unless it gives me permission to show it on screen. But yeah, everybody has something that they've gone through that you don't realize that we all have issues. So saying that nobody has issues in my like all my user base, nobody has any accessibility problems, that is the biggest lie you can tell yourself. Like it's just a lie. There's no way you can measure it. you cannot measure accessibility problems. Like, yeah. So let me post it so people can. Okay, I've gotten the permission. Yeah. So the people just they feel like, oh yeah, all is right with everybody. There's nobody has problems with my chat or anything. But we all have something that we are going through. So try to have empathy for everybody. You don't know what anybody's going through. Some people have like emotional problems that is causing them not to be able to concentrate on your work. So, for example, I had a friend, because they were not having kids. They were trying out for kids so long. They were not having kids. It actually affected their mental health, and so many times they couldn't concentrate on so many things. And you start to think, oh yeah, why is this person not listening to what I'm saying? A lot of that. You should try to have empathy. Like that is the two main things you should always have at the back of your mind when doing anything is, first, have empathy for people, feel what they might be going through, and the second thing is give choice. Choice is the one most important thing in this world to everybody. You should always give people choice. If you don't give them choice, you are really you're not doing well. Basically, that's it. So that's even with web design and page builders. That's one thing I like about the WordPress ecosystem, is that we have choice. So there is you can use Elementor, you can use Bricks, you can use Breakdance, you can use Oxygen, you can use um, Grade, you can use GreenShift, you can use any page builder of your choice. It is all up to you. There's nobody, like, you should not tell me that this, like, I don't know how to put it, but basically just let people have choice. It's not for you to force them to do anything. Give them the choice. Tell them why one thing might be better than the other, but don't force them to be constrained to that just one thing. Tell them why it's wrong. There are some things that, okay, yeah, you have to fix, but try to show them why it is wrong so that they can make up their mind for themselves and make the choice. But yeah, so these are so many things, like she pointed out here. 1 in 4 adults in the EU have a disability. So saying that, oh, nobody has a disability among, this is how it is. 1 in 4. That number is so, you don't know. You think about it in perspective, like, and 1 in 6 people in the entire world experience some significant disability. That's not to say the little ones that we all go through once in a while, but these are significant disabilities. So when you go through this will give you some kind of reasons why you should think about accessibility and all of that. Yeah, exactly. Exactly what Web Squadron is saying, that the most of the job should be by the page builders, because they have taken the burden on themselves to call themselves a no-code solution. So they should make the thing accessible. But unfortunately, like I said, a lot of them didn't, like, either at the beginning they were not informed or things like that, because there was a, yeah, let me see if I can find that one. Let's go. Let me copy this just to remember. Go back. Let me open it on a new page. So let's see if I can find it. I believe it was called. Let me see if I can. Oh, I can't remember which exactly the exact one, but it's just basically about accessibility and how that in your own system of when you're building your websites, or like you're building you should all have to build a process into your product development, and try to include accessibility in your process. If you don't include accessibility in your process of building websites, or as an agency especially, you will always be building websites that are not accessible. But when you can, let me see if I can switch. My system has decided to go on a hiatus. Let's see. Okay, so in terms of like when you talk about accessibility and your process should have it involved. That's why I like the Grade team. They have incorporated some accessibility experts into their team, and they try to, along the way, when they're building up any component, they're always thinking about accessibility. So that is something that's at the back of their mind when they're building any component. So that's something we should do as well. If you look at, I think the Bricks team now, they're trying to incorporate accessibility. The team is quite small, so I can see on Twitter or X that they're asking questions about accessibility so that they can incorporate it into their builder as well. So these things matter. You see, Elementor, they know that they have they have some baggages, but they are doing their best also to try to improve accessibility, which is good. I like the Green Shift team, but the problem is you need to include it into your process. So as you're building your website, you should have that user testing, have all of those things already incorporated into your system. Otherwise, it will still be a problem. Oh, okay. Let me see. Let me try and. I don't know what happened to my Stream Deck. It has decided to go to sleep right now. So let's see if I can try to manage. Let's see, display and chat. Okay, I hope that's it. Oh no. So yeah, he was saying that the trouble with these plugins is that automated testing or automated tools, they always tend to have issues, because in terms of reality, you can't have some tools that can understand context. That is the problem with even AI in general. They don't understand context. They can understand what is happening in the term of your page, but they don't understand the context of the page. So they will tell you that something is right or wrong, but it might not be right for that situation. I think there was one of the tutorials in one of these tutorials, I can't remember which one. The person was talking about it, that, for example, you can say the element will tell you that there is no what do I call it? There's no alt text for an image, but it won't tell you whether the alt text is good or is bad. It can only tell you there's no alt text, so it cannot understand the context of what the whole thing is all about. So that's the whole problem with the whole. Let me see. Okay, then. Okay, yeah. With Elementor, there are a lot of things that are putting in place to improve accessibility, but there are still some issues which are hard to. Okay, yeah, I was testing out this tool. Let me just paste it in the chat. It's a bookmarklet. It just helps you to visually check for accessibility things on your website. Let me see, for example, if I can show an example here. So this is the bookmark I've created. When you click on it, it opens something at the top of your page. So let me just paste it in chat first. So we get, that's it. So this just helps you to see visually everything on your page. So focusable elements, you can check to see the tab order. So you know, okay, this is the first one, second one, third, fourth, fifth. So you can visually see if the focus is in order. There are different things here. You can see the graphics. You can check to see the images and see their alt text. You can check, I think the one I normally check is structure. That's one I've been looking at recently. It can visually show you It's not working. Okay, yeah, sorry. Yeah, headings. So it should show you all of the headings on the page, so you can get to see all the headings. It will tell you what heading level it is, heading level 2, and all of that. So that's one tool I've been. I heard it during I think it was the WooCommerce presentation. The person pointed out this tool, so I just started testing out recently. Then, yeah. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that I think one of the topics as well within the talk, they were talking about CSS as well. I think it was simple CSS tips. I believe it was by Jen Harris. She was talking about simple CSS tiny tips, a collection of CSS tips for making websites easy to read. So she was showing so many things that you can do to improve your website's accessibility. So you can talk about things like the font you use, because the font you use, it might look very cool for you when you build the website out, but when someone is reading that website, it will be so difficult for the person that the person will be so lost, especially when the person is already struggling with his eyesight, or like, I mean, or the person is having, like, let me see, dyslexia or something. The font you use can actually help people to easily read your page or not. So there is something you should think about. I think in her blog post, she mentioned some fonts that she prefers to use. I think she said something like Lato and some other ones like that are easy to read. So you should think about the fonts you use. Yeah. Then. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, I forgot you actually joined the chat as well. So then. Oh, thanks, Anne. I believe one day will come and then you will do a full breakdown for us, or at least in simple chunks, for the how to do accessibility testing. But yeah, when I went through because I actually volunteered for the first couple of hours, so I enjoyed some of the chats. Although when it got to, I believe it was, when was it? I think after the 1 a.m., because this was my time, it was 2 a.m. my time. So after that, I couldn't stay awake because I slept off. But so that's why I am also waiting for the replay so that I can get to watch some of the ones that I missed. But yeah, that's it for this whole document. So now let's just go through some of the things you can do, especially as an Elementor user, to improve accessibility. Then hopefully, or if there's not enough time, maybe that'll be in future, I will get Anne to come and then we'll talk about grade together. But first, let me just show you. So the first thing you need to do is, if you're using Elementor Pro and you have your theme builder, make sure you go to your your settings, so your site header, you go in there. Then there are two ways to do this. The more common way is go into your site settings. There you call the header settings over there at the top center of your screen. If you're using the top bar experiment, click on the settings. It will take you to the header settings. Then all you have to do is, first, I like to rename things to be in a logical order in my brain. So you see, I renamed the header to be site header, then change the HTML tag to header. That will then give you the landmark region for header. If your builder, for some reason, does not allow you to do that, then you can, I believe, let me see, the second way you can do it is, okay, you can come over to the wrapper container. Sorry? Oh yeah, sorry. Somebody was talking to me. Yeah. So you can come to the header. That is the wrapper container. Then you go under, I think, additional setting options, and then change the HTML header to header. So any of those two would work as long as you're not doing both of them together. You cannot do both of them together because the rule states that, I don't know if I can find the rule, but let me just open the site inspector. So settings, let me go to the page. So the main rule is that your header, your main, and your footer must be direct children of the body. That is the rule. But the good thing is that a div is not regarded as anything. A div without a role is not regarded as anything. So you can technically put like in this case, let me see if I did it. Where is this? Okay, so let me inspect again. Inspect it. So technically, like I did here, okay, no, I didn't do that here, but see, you can see header, main, and I've not set up the footer. So yeah, that's the next thing we do. So make sure it has to be the body, then immediately the children of the body should be header, main, footer, and then you can actually have nav as well. The nav and the search. There are two special ones that you can do. They can exist even inside of another landmark region. Whereas the header and the footer, especially those two, if you mistakenly put them into another landmark region, then they will no longer carry the meaning of header and footer. They will now take up another meaning, basically. So that's why you can see, I don't know if I did it on this page. No, I didn't. But sometimes you will see in some pages that even inside the main content area, you still see header, main, and footer. No, header and footer, because the rule is if the header is a direct child of the parent of the body, it is regarded as a landmark region. But if the header is a child of like a section or some other kind of semantic element, then it becomes a, what's it called? A region, a page, I can't remember the name they call it, but something, it changes its meaning. So that's why you will see some people will tell you that no, don't put anything, don't wrap your header, main, and footer into any other div or something like that. But in reality, you can wrap your header, main, and footer into a div as long as that div does not have a role. That is one thing. So that's your header. Then you go to your main content area. This is where it is a bit tricky. For the main content area, it's the same thing you're supposed to do. Let me go, where's the okay, no, this is just a normal page. So that one already has the header. But when you are creating your single page template, let's say, for example, let me go to a blog post. Yes, so this blog post, this is what we'll be using. So for this blog post, if you come to Elementor site single post template, then you go to the same thing, the same way with like your header, you go to your single post settings. Let me go ahead and rename this. So I'll say blog post single template, just for my own peace of mind. Yes. Publish that. So for this one as well, ideally, you should also come here and put the HTML tag to be main. But like I already showed you that because of that anchor.js, the way Elementor works, the best thing to do is put it as a div, put a wrapper element, set that to be your main. So that will now become your main content area. Then let me see if I can find the YouTube video. Skip links, I think that's what it's called. So yeah, this one. And the blog post is, so you can use any of these 3 blog posts. Because Anne explains it better. So I'll just copy all 3. So, oh, that's a long link. No, that's not the one. Let me open it. So yeah, the first link. Then I'll just copy all three so you can read them. They will give you different perspective and what the fix is. 2 and okay, and the third one. Okay, so those three links will give you a good perspective into everything. But basically, all you have to do is just come down here and you simply disable the anchor.js. So this whole script is just to help you disable anchor.js from Elementor. So let's just copy this script. Then you come back to you can either use a HTML element here in your page, or if you have like code snippets or any of those plugins. Let me see if I have anyone installed on this, because I just rushed to do this website last night. So I'm not even sure what is. Okay, yes, we have something, Codebox installed. Then you just create a new snippet. I'll call it maybe disable anchor.js. It is a HTML element, I believe. Yeah. So I'll just make it run at the footer. Or let me leave it as a header. Save it. Then enable it. So what this does that is now disabling the anchor.js. So once you have done this, you come back to, let's close all of this. Was I working on it? Okay. Yes. You come back to your single post template. Like I said, you set the first content here. You put every other content inside as a wrapper or like as a child of this main container. Then you set the HTML tag to main. You come under advanced and you set the ID to content. So when you have those two, then with that JavaScript enabled, it should now allow everything to work. Let me see if it works now. So since I've enabled this, let me go back and preview and see if the skip content works now. So I'll press the tab key and you see it is working. Before it was not working, but now once you've disabled that anchor.js, everything should work as normal. So yeah, that's something you should do. Then same thing for the footer. You come to your single post template, the footer. So in the footer, you go to the footer settings. I'll rename it. I'll say site footer. Then HTML tag, you set it to footer. And you publish. And that's it. That should be everything done. So let me see, do I have the page opened? No. Come to the page. Now, if I use something like, let me see if I have any extension. Yeah, like the Accessibility Insights extension. And I go to landmarks. Now you see all of the landmarks are there. We have ignore the top, that is from the WP admin bar. So we have the banner landmark. We have the navigation, which is given the name primary because I'm using the new menu widget. That's the second thing you should do. I would not recommend using the old menu widget. When you're talking about accessibility, I would recommend using the new one because that one gives you the option to add an area label to tell us the nav. I will show you in a minute. But basically, you have your banner landmark, then you have your primary navigation landmark. Jonathan, yeah, I tend to use either WP Codebox or Code Snippets Pro in my videos. So if you check most of my videos, that's what I use most of the time. Then after that, you get your main landmark. And finally, at the footer, you get your content info landmark, which is similar or is the alternative name for the footer, the content info landmark. Let me show you a problem now. If I had come over here let's say to the header, and rather than, so let's say I put this header to be something else. So I change the tag to maybe, let me set it to like maybe an article for just for a weird reason. So the header itself, I've set it to article. Then inside the inner container, this container, I actually, oh no, what am I doing? Let's see. Oh no. I'll set site settings. Let me go back. So the header settings, I'll set that to an article. This is just an example to show you why you should be particular of where you put the header tag. So let's say I mistakenly set this to article. Then I come into the inner container. This inner container now, I go under the advanced or additional settings, and I set that to header. Then I press publish, come back to my page, refresh the page, and I go back to check the regions. Just watch what happens. Accessibility, landmark regions. You see that there is no header landmark. Although I actually set a header landmark, but because the header is in an article, it no longer takes up the header landmark name. It's now being seen as something else. So make sure your header is a direct child of the body. The only wrapper that can be on it is a div. There must not be any other kind of wrapper. So let me go back and then change it. So I come back here now. Let's say I change this back to a div. I publish it. The container is still having the header. If I refresh this, let me go back again to the home page, and I try again. And I put the site accessibility. You see, the banner landmark reappears. That's because the wrapper div is just a div, and like divs are just ignored. Divs don't. It's like when the accessibility tree or whatever sees a div, it just takes it as nothing is there. It's just for styling purposes only. So yeah, that's it. So that's it for your header landmark or your banner landmark. Then the other thing now, like I said, is the navigation. So let me disable this first. So now we are finished with the landmark regions. So header, main, footer. We now go to the primary navigation. So using the new menu widget, you can come under the menu name. For your primary menu, name it primary. For other kind of menus like your breadcrumbs or your footer menu, you name them something else, but make sure you give them different unique names so that when an assistive technology like a screen reader is going through those names, it will give them that name. So they will know that the primary navigation is different from the breadcrumbs, is different from the footer menu, is different from any other menu that is on your page, basically. So make sure you name them, especially when there are more than one navigation on the page. If it's only one navigation on the page, then it doesn't need a name. But simply because you cannot really predict if other kind of like plugins or whatever will put other navigations in there, then okay. Jonathan, let me see if I can find. I think I've shared it before, but let me see. Accessibility, early Chrome extensions. Okay, no, I didn't share it. The name is called Accessibility. Let me see what's the name. I'll share it now in the comments. Accessibility Insights. Yes, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I believe this is the name. So let me paste it in the. Yes. The one I'm using is the one for web. Yeah. It's a Chrome extension. So you can just go to your Chrome browser extension store and then just search for Accessibility Insights for the web and you get it. Yeah. So that's that. Let me now close all of this before it takes too much space. Close group. Close group, okay. What then? Close. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Then let me come back to the page. Like I said, for your navigation, make sure you set the menu name. For your primary menu, name it primary. For other ones, you name them according to their function. Don't just name them randomly. Name them according to what their function is. The purpose of a name is so that people can understand what the function of that thing does. So same thing with your logo. Because your logo is a link, so you name it according to the function. Where is the link going to? Usually your logo goes to your homepage. So for your logo, make sure you give it an alt text that is basically the page it is going to. So it is going to my logo Ipsum homepage. So that's why I just call it logo Ipsum home. That's the way we normally do it. You can see an example from WebAIM. This is the site I like to go to for accessibility tips. So if you inspect it, you see the same thing they did. It's the link. So they give the image itself an alt text, which just describes what is in the image. Okay, yeah, they are using the... Okay, yeah, so you can either... Because their logo is a text, so they are describing exactly what is in the text, which is also the name of their website. So it's describing everything as in one. If you go to something like what's it called? Mozilla. Oh no, MDN. Developer Network. If you inspect their own logo, you'd see, I believe they put a title here. So the role, and there should be an area label here. So there's the area label because they are using an SVG. SVGs cannot have alt text. So you can either use the title element inside the SVG or you use an area label on the link. So that's why they say it is going to the MDN homepage. So it's telling you the function of that logo. Is where is it going to? Oh, yeah. I haven't checked that yet. I haven't really gone through. Let me even see the. Let's see how it is. So let's try and inspect. Let me just inspect something here. Inspect. See their label, style. Okay, I think they are using. Oh, okay, they're using pixels. Almost everything in the Elementor settings, they're in pixels, I think. Yeah, everything is in pixels. Font size, 10 pixels. So I actually never even checked it out. So yeah, let me see if I zoom in. So if I go, no wonder because my system is supposed to be set to, I think it's 24 pixels as the default. No, okay, no, that is on my actual screen on the other side. It's set to 24 pixels, but this one is set to 16, I think the default. So even if I go to my settings, let's try it out. If I go to, how do I get settings here? Go into settings and I try to go to appearance and I change the font size to very large. I'll go back to medium soon. And let's see if I go back, you see this website, it automatically became bigger. But if you go to it still remains very tiny. You can see the fonts did not change. They still remained at that because they're not using rems. They're using pixels for their control interface. So I'll let you decide what you think about that. But yeah. If I come back now, you go to the page, you see everything goes back to a small, or at least medium, but nothing changes here. It only changes inside the browser because I'm using rems here. So that's why these ones will change, but their actual settings do not change. So yeah, that's it for the logo. We've done for the okay, yeah. Before I forget, let me show that so everybody can see. So if you're using an SVG, make sure you use role equal to image so that it makes the interface like you see with MDN docs. If I check their image, inspect, they have the area label on the A tag, but the SVG itself, you see it has a role equal to image. That makes it, gives it that definition that it is an image and it will be announced as an image. That means what happens is that when you put a role equal to image, it basically groups everything that is a child element of that single element, and then it makes them like one element. I know I was speaking to Jimmy the other day, and we're talking about ratings as well. When you have those ratings, say 4 out of 5 stars, usually you will put all of those, your icons together into one div. You now make that div to have a role equal to image. It will now classify all of that icons as one icon, and then you give that icon an accessible name, and everything will work just fine. So yeah. So that's it for, let me close all of this. I don't think we need them again. Yeah. So that's it for your header section. Then let's go to the page down. Let me edit the page. So okay, let me show that as well. Okay, for people who may want to, yeah, because SVGs they are unique. So usually, to be on the safest side, just whenever you're using an SVG and just give it role equal to image, that gives it the best compatibility, especially with, I think, Safari or something, one of those browsers. If you don't put that role equal to image, sometimes the image does not get announced to a screen reader. So whenever you're using an SVG, just to be on the safest side, put role equal to image as well to the SVG. So yeah. Then, so the next thing you need to think about when you're talking about accessibility is your header section. So your headings. So make sure your heading is in order. Don't start by saying this one will be a H2. Then you come back here and say this is H1 and all of that. So, and then you come back and say this is maybe H4. Then you come here and say this is H1 or something like that. If you look at, I hope I did something good with this page. Let's go ahead and see it. One tool I like to use is Headings Map. It gives you all the headings in order. So you see, I already made a mistake somewhere. So you see, it shows me clearly already I made a mistake. I put H3 instead of H1. So let's go back now and fix it. So come back here, come to the default and then set it to H1. Because I'm using CSS to style it, that's why the font size did not change. That is one thing to remember. The HTML is for content and structure. The CSS is for styling. So don't choose the H1, H2, H3 based on how big or small you want your header size to be. It should be done in order of the document. Then you can now use the CSS to make it bigger or smaller. So let's publish this. And we'll go back now and see. I don't know why it's slow today. Okay, finally. So now I'll refresh. And now you can see everything is in order. So we have our H1. The way you think about it is look at just the headings map itself. Forget about your content. Does that headings map, does it actually accurately define what your heading structure is? Oh yeah, exactly. That's one thing I actually like about the block as well, block editor. It creates that list view the same way with these headings, the same way you have this headings map. It has that same list view, especially when you're using core blocks. If you start to use some of these other blocks, it might not show up well, but core blocks tend to show up in a good way. So we have this. You can see this is the H1. The next thing we have this section is the H2. You are in the right place. And the way I've thought about it is that the entire thing here is one section. So this is now the H2, and within it, we now have three different H3s. Those are the three different subheadings under this "You are in the right place" heading. Then the next thing we go is this section. How I'm reading this, I don't know how you are reading it, but how I'm reading this is "About my story" is the actual heading. Every other thing here is just, this other thing is like a kind of like a subtext under that heading. So that's why I've put it as "About my story" is the heading. This is just like a strong tag or paragraph tag, depending on the context. And then after that, we now have the other headings, because these are subheadings under the main heading. So we have some H3s. Then we have a quote, a block quote. After that, we have another heading. So as featured in, and then this is a list of images. Then the next thing, we have another one, live workshop. That's the heading itself. The other things are just, although it's a big text, but I classify the main heading here to be the live workshop. That's what this whole thing is talking about, the live workshop. So would you like to attend our workshops and all of that? I just put them as a strong tag and some paragraph tags. I don't know if there's a better way to do it, but that's how I did it. Then, no, this, oh, Jonathan, this is a different one. This is called headings map. Let me see if I can find, just search for headings map on, what am I typing? But yeah, on Chrome. Let me paste it in chat. Yeah, so it's called headings map. Oh, the link is not long enough. Yeah, so that's what I'm using to check the heading levels. And that's how it just keeps going with the heading. So that's the next thing you need to check. The headings should be in a logical order, such that without even reading your page, because a lot of screen reader users, they navigate pages based on the headings. That has been the age-old way that they've been used to. So what they do is, like with voiceover, you can simply just go ahead and do a what's it called, a search, and it will just give you the list of all the headings. So what they do, they now read through those headings and they immediately know, okay, that heading is for me, and this heading is not for me. So they can just, it's like your table of contents on your normal blog post. So they use that and quickly skip to the right heading that they want and jump into the heading. So that's why you need to make your headings to be in order. Then what else? So, like I've said, the first thing is your landmark regions. Then you give them accessible names. So your links should have accessible names. Start here today is something that somebody can understand. That, okay, what am I doing? I'm going to start something. I don't know. I think it is meaningful enough. If it isn't, then try to use texts that are meaningful for your links. And yeah, that's it for the main tips. I think I'll try to do a dedicated video to show all of the tips that I have for Elementor users and how to improve your accessibility of your website. Hopefully, I'll work with Anne, and if she's willing to go back to Elementor, because I know she has left the Elementor space for quite a while now. Maybe we'll go ahead and check how Elementor works and come up with some simple tips to improve accessibility when working with Elementor. So I think the time has run too far, so I shouldn't start up a new topic, because I was hoping to do with grade suits, but I think that will be done. Maybe that will be the topic for next week. I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm thinking next week I'll just try to rebuild this entire page using grade. Because grade, let me see, do I have it installed here? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, she said she's willing, so I'll try to reach out to her after maybe tomorrow or so that we can come up with something. Yeah, we can now, because I know like we still have a million. We may want to say Elementor has so many baggages at the moment, but that's not to like leave them completely hanging. Elementor is still used by millions of users, so it's always good to come up with as many tips as we can to improve the accessibility of the website. So yeah, the other thing you need to think about is your colors. Make sure your colors are accessible. Like I said, I sometimes use this TP. I don't know why it's not working as well anymore. This color contrast analyzer by TPJI. TPGI. I use that to quickly, because you can quickly just check. I think the problem is because I think it's because I'm streaming, so it's picking the wrong part of the website. It's not working well. You can also use Wave Chrome extension and some other ones to try to check your accessibility. Yeah, many people are just moving to the dark side of full site editing and and other builders. But that doesn't mean that all of these other builders are bad. They just have different use cases, I think, or different ways people like to work with them. So yeah, that's it for these. If you have any questions, please do leave them in the comments so that we can go through the questions, and hopefully Anne will be able to answer your questions in the comments as well. Some of the things that I'm hoping for Elementor to introduce is to be able to create styles for our buttons, because right now, if you want to style one button, you style it once, then you come to the next button and then you have to restyle it again. And the next, in this case, I just used CSS because I couldn't be bothered. So if you see under advanced, I just created different class names, said button primary, so that I can just put it once and I don't have to start styling from scratch again. So I'm hoping Elementor, once they are able to remove all of those wrapper divs from their builder, they can now start focusing on putting global classes so that we can style everything from one place without having to write custom CSS. Because like they keep saying it is a no-code solution, but to be efficient, you still have to write code, which is not nice. So hopefully they will fix that. The other thing we should remember before I forget is that your links, right now, I'm using only color to represent a link, which is a problem. Let me see if I can simulate it here. I don't know if this browser does it. Oh, I think I can use that extension as well. Accessibility Insights, and I choose color. So now I've made it to be black and white because this is how some people, a small percentage of users, this is how they will see your website as black and white. Now there is a link here, but will they even know that there's a link here? Because everything literally looks the same, but there's actually a link there. So that's why they always say, don't use colors alone to represent anything, because color alone is not sufficient. You have to do something else. Use either like an underline or something that is not just colors, which reminds me that that's one of the rules I started to imbibe, is that I always try to do things in twos. So if I'm going to change like for interactive elements, if there's going to be a hover state, I will not only put a box shadow, but I'll also put something like an underline, or I'll make the thing thicker. Let's see. That's what they do here. You see their links. If you hover over the link, you see it changes color one, but it also becomes thicker than the others. So that gives you that understanding that I am hovering over something, because not just the color that is changing, but the thickness of the font becomes bigger. Like I think it goes from 400 to 700. So when there are in twos, then it's easy to pick out the change. But if it's just one thing, you only change the one thing, it's easy to miss that one thing. So yeah, that's it. So let me see if this works again. It still doesn't work. I have to switch manually. Let's see. Okay, face and okay, yes. So yeah, I'm able to switch. So yeah, that's it. That's the general way I talk about when we're talking about accessibility. There's just some simple tips you can use if you follow the documentations from that week, the WP Accessibility Day. You will get to see so many things that will improve the way you think about accessibility. I was also surprised when someone talked about accessibility in Africa. I think he said only Kenya and I think Ghana or somewhere that actually have some things, little things in place that are not even fully blown, but just some things in place. And they're not enough for accessibility, but at least the UK, I think the US, then EU, and a little bit of the UK, they are all talking about accessibility and trying to improve accessibility. And yeah, definitely we'll speak. I will speak to Anne as soon as I can, and we can hopefully come up with a discussion and a way to explain accessibility in a nice way and an easy to follow way for users to be able to improve the accessibility for different page builders like Elementor and the block editor as well. Yeah. So that's it. I'll say bye to everyone if there is no more questions. So in about 5 seconds, I think I'll be going off. Let me see. And if you've enjoyed the session, please don't forget to leave a like, share the video. I will try to trim it a little bit so that it's not too long. And like I said, we'll try to do a nicer breakdown in the future. So bye, Anne. Bye, Jimmy. Bye, Jonathan. Bye, everyone.